Many countries are described as cheap retirement destinations, but low prices on paper do not always translate into lower long-term retirement costs once real-life expenses are fully considered. Retirees are often attracted to places labeled affordable without examining how housing quality, healthcare access, and infrastructure affect daily costs over many years. A country that looks inexpensive at first glance can slowly become more expensive due to hidden expenses, instability, or the need to compensate for missing services. Retirement planning requires a long-term perspective because short-term savings can be offset by higher costs, stress, and reduced quality of life over time. In this video, we examine why some so-called cheap countries often cost more than expected when retirees look beyond surface-level prices. The idea of cheap retirement destinations is usually based on average prices rather than the specific needs of retirees living on fixed incomes. Marketing articles often focus on rent and food costs while ignoring healthcare, transportation, bureaucracy, and long-term maintenance expenses. These overlooked categories can gradually consume the savings retirees expect to gain by choosing a lower-cost country. What matters is not how inexpensive a place feels during the first year, but how predictable and manageable expenses remain over time. To understand this clearly, retirement costs must be evaluated category by category rather than relying on general cost of living rankings. Housing is often the first area where hidden costs begin to appear in countries considered cheap. Lower rent prices frequently come with older buildings, weaker insulation, and higher maintenance requirements that increase monthly expenses. Repairs, heating inefficiency, and unreliable utilities can quietly raise housing-related costs beyond initial expectations. In some regions, lower rent also means living farther from healthcare, shopping, or reliable transportation. These trade-offs can increase transportation costs and reduce convenience, indirectly affecting overall retirement spending. Utilities are another category where cheap countries can become surprisingly expensive for retirees. Older infrastructure often leads to higher energy consumption, inconsistent water supply, or frequent service disruptions. Retirees may spend more on heating, cooling, or backup solutions to maintain basic comfort. Seasonal cost spikes are more common in countries with less stable energy systems. Over several years, these fluctuations can add significant unplanned costs to a fixed retirement budget. Food costs appear lower in many cheap countries, but quality, availability, and dietary needs can complicate the picture. Imported or specialized foods often cost more, especially for retirees with dietary restrictions or health considerations. Limited selection may force retirees to shop at multiple locations, increasing transportation and time costs. Eating out may be inexpensive, but food safety and quality standards vary widely. Over time, food-related compromises can affect health and increase medical expenses. Healthcare is one of the most critical areas where cheap countries can become costly for retirees. Public healthcare systems may be underfunded, understaffed, or difficult to access for foreign residents. As a result, many retirees rely on private healthcare even in countries known for low living costs. Private care may be affordable initially, but can become expensive for chronic conditions or specialized treatments. Language barriers and uneven quality between regions often require additional spending to ensure adequate care. Transportation costs can also rise unexpectedly in countries with limited public infrastructure. Low-cost regions often require car ownership due to inadequate public transportation. Vehicle maintenance, fuel, insurance, and repairs add ongoing expenses that are rarely included in cost comparisons. Poor road conditions can further increase repair and replacement costs. Over time, transportation expenses can rival savings gained from lower housing costs. Stability and inflation play a major role in long-term retirement affordability. Cheap countries often experience higher inflation volatility or currency instability. For retirees living on fixed incomes, unpredictable price increases reduce purchasing power quickly. A lower starting cost does not protect against rapid inflation in essential categories. Over a decade, inflation differences can outweigh initial cost advantages. Administrative and bureaucratic costs are another hidden factor in retirement planning. Visas, residency renewals, legal assistance, and translation services often add recurring expenses. In less developed systems, inefficiency can require paid assistance to navigate basic processes. These costs are rarely mentioned in discussions about cheap retirement destinations. Over time, administrative burdens increase both financial and emotional strain. Lifestyle adjustments also influence whether a cheap country remains affordable. Limited entertainment, social isolation, or reduced access to familiar activities can lead to additional spending. Retirees may travel more frequently to compensate, increasing transportation and accommodation costs. Mental and emotional well-being are closely tied to spending patterns in retirement. Ignoring lifestyle compatibility can lead to higher expenses over time. The true cost of retirement is the total of all these factors combined, not just rent and groceries. Cheap countries often shift costs rather than eliminate them. What appears affordable at first may require constant spending to maintain comfort and stability. Long-term retirement success depends on predictability rather than the lowest possible prices. Evaluating retirement destinations requires realistic expectations and careful planning. Countries with slightly higher upfront costs may offer better infrastructure, healthcare, and stability. These factors can reduce unexpected expenses and stress over many years. Retirement planning should focus on sustainability, not just short-term affordability. Understanding hidden costs helps retirees avoid unpleasant surprises later in life. In retirement, the cheapest option is rarely the one that delivers the lowest total cost over time.